What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Tiny Tim's Minis. This week we're going to be turning a bug zapper into a static grass applicator. Let's get it. For those of you that do not know, my name is Tim, and on this channel we take big things and we make them small. Simple as that. This week I'm going to be showing you how to build one of the most necessary tools for any terrain or diorama piece. We're going to be making a static grass applicator out of a bug zapper. Tim, what exactly is a static grass applicator? Well, thank you for asking. It is a tool that you use to put grass onto your terrain piece. It's really simple. You put the grass in the applicator, you take the ground wire, you touch it to whatever you're putting grass on top of, and then you sprinkle it over top. It's magic. It's actually not magic. It's science. 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 So what this is basically when you take a balloon and you rub it on your head, and your hair stands straight up, it's just static electricity. The fibers used inside the static grass applicator are made from polyester, nylon, and rayon, and these fibers are really good at holding that static charge. So, once you sprinkle it over top, your grass stands on end, and you got grass. Pretty simple. Also really simple to make, and it's pretty cheap. It cost me about 20 bucks. What you're going to need a bug zapper, you're going to need a 1.5-inch PVC end cap, but also make sure to take your bug zapper to the hardware store with you. Make sure it fits on there before you buy it, just so you don't have to keep going back and forth finding out the right size. You're going to need a container to hold the grass. You're going to need some wire and an alligator clip. You're going to be needing a mesh strainer. Make sure the mesh strainer has a nice fine mesh on it. You don't want anything with holes too big. And then you're going to need some assorted tools and glues. Pretty simple, pretty cheap, easy. But before we get started, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, follow me on Instagram at TinyTimsMinis. All right, let's get building.
We're starting off by taking our bug zapper apart. Grab a screwdriver and take off those 3 bolts. Once you get all your bolts taken off, take off the head of the zapper to expose the connected wires. As you can see, there are 3 wires and we only need 2. So take one of the blue wires out because they are connected to the same place. From there, all you need to do is just disconnect all the other zapper bits on the end of the wires. Now let's figure out how we're going to cut up our parts. For the bug zapper handle, we just need to cut off the head. For the container, we need to cut off a hole for the mesh, and we need to cut off the handles. For the mesh, we just need the mesh. You already know about the bug zapper. Let's get cutting. Once everything was cut, I sanded all the parts to get all of the edges nice and clean. Now for some wiring.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Don't worry, we're not going to do any soldering. We're going to start off by stripping the ends of the wires coming out of the BUG ZAPPER. Grab some extra wires and strip both ends. And then we're going to be using shrink tube to connect the two. I go into detail on how the shrink tube works in my last video, so go check it out. While I was doing the wiring, I painted all the individual parts. I painted the container yellow, and I gave the top a nice silver to give it an industrial look. Before we put it all back together, drill a hole in the side of the zapper to put your ground wire through. But make sure that your Dremel's charged so it doesn't die on you and have to use hand tools. Before we glue everything together, we have to test fit it and make sure it fits. Now it's time for the glue. For the 5-minute epoxy, you have to mix both parts together before using it. I used pennies as weights to keep a nice curve in the mesh. I got everything else glued together. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything. Now we have to attach the wire inside of the container to the mesh. You can either solder it or you can just twist it on. I just twisted it on. Now for the final piece, the alligator clip. It's pretty simple. Just twist the wire onto the end and use the shrink tube to hold it in place. There's also a rubber cover that comes with all alligator clips. You put that on the end so when you grab it, you don't shock yourself. Put some batteries in. Now let's test it out. Welcome to the first annual static grass testing. We have 3 competitors here, 2mm, 7mm, and 12mm. Let's see how each of them do. Starting with the 2mm. Good shake, nice landing, good coverage. Let's see the final result. Ooh, very nice indeed, very nice indeed. Well played 2mm. Let's move on to the 7mm. 7mm grass. Very nice indeed. Very nice. The shake leaves a little to be desired, but very nice coverage. Let's see the final results. Ooh, very well played, 7mm. Let's move on to our final contestant, the 12mm. Here we have the 12mm. Good starting pose. Ooh, lovely shake right off the blocks. Starting coverage could be a little more, but let's move to our final results. Very nice 12mm, decent coverage, and great looking grass. Lovely. Well, this concludes our first annual static grass testing. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next year for some more grass.
Hey, so this thing came out great. It is so much nicer. I have one I built about 2 years ago, year and a half, somewhere around then, but I've been using that one since then, and this one is junk in comparison. It's been being held together by tape. I used a sturdier container for this one. It has clips and everything. This one was just a yogurt tin, and the lid is junk. Let me tell you, it's just a process getting it on and off. I feel like I'm gonna break it every time. And make sure, like I said before, get a nice fine mesh, because on this one I use the mesh from the BUG ZAPPER, and the big holes are fine for the 2mm grass. It'll just fall through. But with the 7 to 12mm grass, it gets weird and it doesn't work right. So make sure you get something with, again, a fine mesh. Something with clips help. It doesn't have to have clips. You can use like any sort of Tupperware, but the clips just make it a lot easier. If any of you mini makers out there end up making one of these static grass applicators, let me know. I want to see your build. I also want to see what you're using it on. Any of your dioramas, your terrain pieces, if you're basing any miniatures, let me know what you're making. I would love to see it. To do that, you can @ me on Instagram at TinyTimsMinis, or you can use the hashtag TinyTimsMiniatures. And while you're there, give me a follow. You can see all the cool stuff that I'm putting out there. Which was one of the things, I just put out one of my first products, a pocket diorama. It's super cool. It's made out of a mint tin. You can go up to all your friends being like, hey, you want a mint? Just kidding. It's a diorama made by Tiny Tim's Miniatures. Make sure you go follow them on Instagram and on YouTube. See? Easy as that. That's how you can tell your friends and family about me. Just be like, you want a mint? That. Give me a follow there. I only have 6 of those mint tins left. So if you guys want to buy one, be quick about it. They're going out fast. I'm just kidding. I only made 6. I haven't sold any. But if you want to buy one, support me. That'd be great. Speaking of supporting, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Again, give me a follow on Instagram. If there's anything you would like to see, comment down below. One of your comments might inspire me to make something cool. As always, I will see you guys next week for another mini. See ya. Ooh, I'm sweaty. I'm sweaty. I'm sweaty. That one's wet and sweaty. This one's dry and not sweaty. I'm greasy, I'm nasty boy. I'm a greasy, nasty boy. Gotta wipe off my sweat so I don't look shiny. All right, let's get started.